Pay attention, son. This is for your own.
One more thing about graphing with the calculator. And when I say graphing, I'm talking about making a picture on the TI calculator with this button, if you would. I'd like to save you a very common error by dividing the word graphing, if you would, into two categories. Plotting and tracing. Now, some people say sketching, but I say sketching is what you do with your pencil on the paper. So plotting and tracing. Now, plotting is what we do when we use the stat button, and I'll show you that in a second. Whereas to trace something, we're going to be using the y equals button. Now, let's talk about plotting. Plotting is really depicting a finite number of individual points, a number of points that you can see and count. Like a picture like this. Now this has, I hope you can see, 6 points, and that's all. That's all that's depicted. And we put in those points via the statistics or stat button. And when you hit stat, you can go into the editor and put in various numbers for the x and y coordinate under the list 1 and list 2, and it'll create the points. On the other hand, tracing, when I refer to tracing, I'm talking about using the y equals button to create an infinite number of, I say contiguous, contiguous means next to each other points, an infinite number of points, like a line. There's an infinite number of points there. Well, we certainly wouldn't want to sit there and list them all as we do when we plot. The way that we do represent the infinite number of points is that we put in the equation for that would hold all those points. And the way we put that in, of course, is using the y equals button. Now, it doesn't have to be a line. We could put in an equation like this and get a parabola, couldn't we? But that would be tracing. Now, I want you to understand that we actually, if we turn the plot indicator, and when I say the plot indicator, I want to make sure we know what I'm talking about. This animal right here, if we turn the plot indicator dark or on, then we can actually be tracing and plotting and get a picture like this.
Warning, warning, warning.
Now, if you're getting mixed up between tracing and plotting, and sometimes you're tracing and sometimes you're plotting, you need to be warned. If the plotter is on, and for some reason you don't have any data in the calculator yet, or you never did have any data in the calculator, then you'd be telling the calculator to plot data that isn't there. It's like trying to send your dog for a bone that you didn't throw. It's not fair, and the calculator is going to give you an invalid dimension error. You're going to get this, okay? And it's a very common error. I just wanted to warn you. It's what you get when you're trying to plot, or you have the plotter on and you don't have any data stored in the calculator.
Now what am I gonna do?
So what do if you get that error? Well, you're going to have to turn plotting off because you don't have any data to plot. There's really two ways to do that. One is to hit stat plot. Now stat plot you would get to by hitting second and then the y equals button, and as you can see, the orange stat plot would get you to a screen like this, and you'd hit number 1, and right now plot 1 is on. You would turn it off. Now there's an easier way. If you're in the y equals equation editor, if you would, you can just hit the up cursor and hit enter, and it will actually toggle this plot 1 indicator on or off. Of course, right now if I toggled it, it's on right now. If I toggled it, it would toggle off, and it would look like this. And then I could just hit graph, and the calculator would be happy and show me that trace. Okay, so be warned about that.
Pay attention to me, boy. I'm not just talking to hear my head roll.
If you get this invalid dimension error, make sure that you're paying attention to whether your plot is on and it looks like this, or your plot is off and it looks like this. If you're tracing, you very likely want your plotter off. If you're plotting, of course, you want it on.